after the game, it's the aftermath. Win or lose, we still wave our commander's flag. Riding with Wentz under center, making the pass. Jahan Dotson, young rookie, making a splash. That burgundy and gold, that's what we about. Jonathan Allen knocking QBs to the ground. We die hard and nobody can shut us down. Cause this is the greatest show in town. Let's go. Go, 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 go.
What's good, Washington fans? All right, I wanted to get into this little tidbit of this Albert Haynesworth situation, who I deem as the worst, probably the worst bust there is in the sports. You know, he played for the Washington Redskins all but 2 seasons before getting shipped to New England Patriots. But he went on this Twitter. What
was it like to be around?
He went on this Twitter. Well, not on Twitter. He was on some kind of podcast, and he was talking about how Daniel Snyder was a good guy and how he wasn't a real owner. He was a fantasy owner, and he talked to Daniel Snyder all the time. And, you know, he let Daniel Snyder know what he was saying and all of this stuff like that. My thing about this is that, dude, you got paid $100 million for 7 years. You wasn't even the guy that you was in Tennessee. You got paid $41 million up front. But then you came a bust. Everybody's seen that the play that you fell down. Andre Carter kind of like sidestepped you. Some say that he jumped over you, but he sidestepped you. You didn't even make no effort to get back up and chase after Michael Vick. But nevertheless, you kind of like really start taking shots at ex-players because they was calling you out. But then you didn't even make no effort. Now, Tampa Bay offered you $135 million before Washington even signed you. But guess what? You decided to come to Washington because everybody knew Daniel Snyder was shucking out money at that time. But then you made some speeches and saying, oh, you know, Washington made you hate football. But I'm going to let y'all listen to what Albert Haynesworth had to say about the Washington Redskins at the time.
What was it like to be around Daniel Snyder? I'm sure it only happened a few times. Maybe I'm wrong in that assumption.
Yeah.
But he's the one that gave you the deal.
No, you know, like with Dan, I talked to him like at least once a week. I go to his office and talk. Yeah, it was like super cool. So everybody's like, oh, Dan's, you know, an a-hole, whatever, but he's not. No, he's not. And then like his thing, everyone's like, oh, he ruins Washington, D.C. You know, he ruins the Skins. Like this guy, who he was, is he absolutely loved the Redskins. I mean, he's like watching every practice. He's, you know, doing all that stuff. But the thing about Dan, like he didn't know a ton about football like that. And so what he would do, like I call him, and I'd say this to his face, like he's a billionaire fantasy footballer. So imagine you have billions of dollars and you own a football team, and when you see all of the NFL, you're like, oh, that's a great player. I'm going to get him.
That's what Steve Cohen just did with the Mets.
Well, who did it?
Yeah, the owner of the Mets, they spent a ton. $330 million on their payroll. Highest in baseball, paying a $130 million luxury tax because of that.
Yeah.
But he's putting together an all-star team and they didn't win.
Right.
So and that team didn't either.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So it's like you gotta have the dynamics between the team, the coaches. You gotta have the right coaches to be able to put that together. You can't just go do that. You can't. I mean, you can buy, get a few players and stuff like that, but you also have to build within the draft. Like some trades and just kind of getting those guys and getting that dynamic together.
You gotta have some patience.
Yeah, like in that locker room it was a joke. Guys are just joking. I got a couple guys I still talk to, but most of them are trash.
Like they got their check and they were done, kind of thing.
Oh, dude, they'd be like talking about coming out in the tunnel, what club they going to, and they got a table. I'm just like, it was whack. And it's
Bottle service.
It's the ones that be like chirpers try to talk about me. You know, I'm just like, dude, I could call you out about all the stuff you guys are doing. You know, so like, don't even like bring my name into it. Yeah, it's all I'm like D'Angelo Hall, like let's see, like Clint Portis, like freaking what's it, Cooley or whatever.
Chris Cooley.
Yeah, it is this. They're a joke. Like they belong in Washington because they are what that team represented back then, which is trash.
And they just got their paycheck and it's time to go party and blow it.
Trash and blow it. And
Now, you hear what he said. He said that Chris Cooley, D'Angelo Hall, and Clint Portis was trash. But he failed to realize that them guys produced for Washington. You know, sadly, Chris Cooley's career cut short because of concussions and injury. D'Angelo Hall was one of the top cornerbacks in the league when he came over there. You know what I'm saying? Some say that the contract was his contract was a bad contract. But nevertheless, then we got Clint Portis. He did very well. But we signed you to $100 million, and then you got the nerve, the audacity to call other players trash when you was a bum, a fraud, and you was trash. If anybody should call anybody trash, you should call yourself trash. Then you sitting here trying to say, oh, Daniel Snyder was a good guy, or yeah, but he didn't know football. We all know Daniel Snyder didn't know football because how the organization was run. But you neglected to come to Washington because it was easy money. But at the same time, Tampa Bay offered you $135 million. Why you went to Tampa Bay? Why you came to Washington? Because Washington was a dysfunctional franchise back, during that time. Yeah, we was paying for high-priced players. We shouldn't have to. But you came there. You was a former Defensive Player of the Year in 2008. You was drafted in 2002. You 6'6", 300 pounds of pure nothing. Like The Rock said, nothing. You are pure nothing. And just as it had the audacity to sit there and trash talk other Redskins players, it shows the epitome of who you are. Now, sadly to say that you had to retire and, you had a kidney transplant in 2001, that by the grace of God, thank you, that you're still alive. But as a football player, you was trash. You know what I'm saying? And you sit there and laid on the ground and made no effort. The thing about it is, you didn't get along with the coaches. You was the highest paid player at that time in the league. You was hard to coach. You didn't get along with coaches. So you was a poor fit. You was definitely a poor fit for this team. And you was a liability. You know what I'm saying? You didn't do anything. Hell, Deron Payne just got signed to a 3-year contract. Him and Jonathan Allen have been the best defensive tackles that Washington had since probably the days of the glory days of the Redskins. You could have been that guy. You could have submitted yourself as one of the best all time and probably could have been in the Hall of Fame. But no, you came there, took the money. You didn't want to work. You was lazy. You moped around. You didn't want to be there, but you got your money. But you didn't put no effort in. But that falls back on Daniel Snyder for hiring bums like you. You know what I'm saying? Bringing bums like you in there, paying you all this money, and just to sit there and get shipped out 2 years later. And good thing Washington did send you to New England. Because guess what? New England didn't keep you behind long because you trash. So sit there to talk about D'Angelo Hall and Clinton Portis and Chris Cooley. To me, that's pathetic. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm calling you out and I'm calling you trash. Because you are trash. To me, you are. You was probably one of the biggest busts in Washington history. The contract was one of the worst contracts in Washington history and probably in league history. Because you didn't live up to that. You was the man in Tennessee. You was the man in Tennessee. That's why everybody loved you. And we thought was getting somebody. No. But now you want to blame all your problems on Washington because your sorry behind mismanaged your money and went broke and you allowed somebody else to squander your money. That's on you, bruh. Because if you sign a contract for $100 million and got 41 up front, your advisor should have managed your money, but that's on you. So you can't sit there and say that Washington was the reason why you went broke. No, punk, you went broke on your own. That's what I look at it. You know what I'm saying? You went broke on your own. You know what I'm saying? Then you wrote it, and you writing in a tribute, you continue to say, oh, in my retirement, you will discover that your financial advisor has squandered most of the money you made in Washington. And he went under investigation for financial fraud. Thankfully, you will have to discover a passion for restoring houses and property during your off season. Well, I don't know what that's about, but anyway. But that's what he was talking about. So, and then he was writing in his 14 year in the Players Tribute, Haynesworth say, when you hit free agency, the Washington Redskins are going to give you $100 million. Everyone will talk about this. They won't talk about the fact that the most of the money is not guaranteed, or that Tampa Bay offer you $135 million. But anyway, Albert Haynesworth, you're pathetic. You're trash. You should keep your mouth shut because you're the biggest fraud, the biggest bust, and of a player in Washington franchise. Tennessee probably seen why they didn't offer you money to keep you, because they probably seen that you was only there for the money and you act like you was all of that. So now all of a sudden you come out of nowhere and just think that, oh, well, Chris Cooley, DeAndre Hall, and Clinton Portis, they should be with Washington because they was trash back then. Well, guess what? You was part of that era too. So you was trash too. If you calling them trash, you the biggest trash. So anyway, enough of that rant. Well, Alvin Fat Stink Haynesworth, aka the Big Slow. Yeah, man. He's a joke, man. I don't even want to waste no more time on it. He's just a joke. He's just blowing hot air because now that the franchise is sold, now he got an opinion. You ain't had an opinion back then. You ain't nobody here for you back then. So all of a sudden now you want to talk? Man, get a life. Nobody wants you around. But continue to like, comment, and subscribe. This is your boy Martin, LiveWire Sports Entertainment. And I will be back to you with another weekend edition of the Washington Commanders. Let's go.